We are live. Hello, everyone. Today we are going to be recapping the past few weeks. Let's see, set up. We're going to be recapping the last few weeks of lives that I have been doing. The segment that I've been providing is called Understanding Sleep to Better Understand Your Child. So, one of the main reasons that I decided to even have this be the main topic for the lives for the past few weeks is because one of the very common stories that I hear time and time again from parents when they reach out to me is, my little Josie, she was such a great sleeper when she was little. She would sleep 8 to 10 hours straight, and that was until we hit the 4-month mark when it all changed. She started waking every few hours, and while she has never been a great napper, her naps got even worse, and she started waking up every few hours. I am exhausted. I just don't understand why this all changed. Megan, please tell me that you can help me with this. So that is why I decided to start this segment of lives, because I believe that if you can understand sleep, if you understand how it develops and what's natural, you just understand the nature of it, then you can understand why your child either struggles with sleep or ways to optimize your child's sleep. So in this, by educating you, my hope was for you to gain the knowledge in order to optimize your child's sleep. Sorry, Instagram, I'm trying to get you guys in a good area. All right, back to what I was saying. Trying to help your child optimize sleep, to help you pinpoint the areas of your child's sleep that might need troubleshooting, and to set yourself up with realistic expectations around your child's sleep. So for the past few weeks, I've covered the architecture of sleep cycles. So what do sleep cycles look like? I've talked about the different states of sleep, non-REM or dream state, or active sleep. And then I've talked about non-REM sleep, which is that deep sleep. It's the sleep where it's hard to wake someone from. And we've talked about the two systems that directly affect sleep. So the circadian rhythms, or your biological clocks, and sleep pressure. So today I am recapping everything we've talked about, and I'm going to go over the main key points that I hope you took away from these past few weeks. And if you weren't able to watch those, you can find all of those videos on my playlist under videos, the playlist Understanding Sleep to Better Understand Your Child. However, I'm hoping that with this video, you can see what the main takeaway points are, and that can help you to better help your child with sleep. But before we do that, per usual, in case I've got anybody new here, I am Megan Robert. I am owner of After the Stork. I help families with their child sleep. I'm a child sleep consultant, I'm a postpartum doula, and I'm a former nanny. But my main focus and purpose, I feel like, in life is to impact families to get the best rest that they need. So I help families who are either struggling with their child's sleep or wanting to be proactive with their child's sleep, whether you're expecting, you have a newborn, or you know that you're about to hit some sort of milestone or transition. If you're someone who's struggling with sleep, I provide information on the different components that contribute to a strong sleep foundation, help you with the adjustments that I see need to be made, and then provide support and guidance while you implement those adjustments in order to implement them correctly. If you would like more information, you can go to afterthestorksleep.com/what is entailed. You can download my free document, which goes over the different services that I provide for both newborns or expecting parents and parents of children who are about 4 months and older, so up through about preschool age, 4 or 5 years of age. And then a quick disclaimer, I am not a medical professional, so I help families from a behavioral perspective. So these videos and all of the educational resources that I provide, they are for educational and informational purposes only. They are meant to promote the general understanding of child sleep for parents and anyone who works with younger children, but the information contained within these videos and resources for download are not intended as and shall not be understood or construed as medical advice or substitute of medical advice. For medical issues or concerns, please consult your pediatrician or other healthcare provider. If your child snores or mouth breathes, reach out to your pediatrician, an ENT, a sleep specialist, to make sure there are no underlying medical issues that are hindering your child's sleep. These snoring and mouth breathing are potential symptoms for sleep issues like sleep apnea. It means that your child is potentially not reaching a full sleep cycle because they're not able to breathe, so their brain is waking them up to prevent them from, asphyxiation or not being able to breathe while they're sleeping. So if that is something that's going on with your child, please contact your pediatrician, an ENT, or a sleep specialist. All right, so now let's dive into the main takeaways from the past couple weeks. So number 1, and I'm going to go over 5 of these, okay? Number 1, set realistic expectations for sleep based on your child's age. So when I was talking about all of these different aspects that contribute to sleep, I also talked about how they develop and what happens at certain ages. The main takeaway is that the nature of sleep will depend on your child developmentally and where they are with their age. So for newborns, they do not have a strong circadian rhythm. Their sleep consists of about 50% REM sleep and 50% non-REM sleep. And so sleep is very irregular. Short naps, long naps, naps randomly throughout the day. Sometimes they sleep long at night, sometimes they don't. It really depends on where they are with their development and how old they are with an adjusted age. So if your child was born early, you want to reset that age based on the due date of your child so that you can, again, set those realistic expectations. And then if your child is older, this is when they thrive off of structure and having a set schedule because their circadian rhythm is more developed and they have more deep sleep than REM sleep. So because of their circadian rhythm being more developed, the structure and schedule helps to strengthen the circadian rhythms and helps them to sleep better when they are on a consistent schedule. So again, number 1, set up realistic expectations for yourself when it comes to your child's sleep based on the age. Number 2, it is normal to wake a couple times in the middle of the night due to the nature of sleep. So if your child is waking in the middle of the night, this is normal. Don't expect your child to ever completely sleep through the night. Your child might sleep through the night, but you just might not hear your child call out to you because of being awake. Instead, your child might be transitioning smoothly into the next sleep cycle. We all wake up in the middle of the night. We all do. Sometimes we remember it, sometimes we don't. For example, maybe you reposition your pillow, you grab a drink of water, whatever the case may be. But for children who are not able to fall asleep on their own, excuse me. So for children who are requiring you to rock them to sleep, feed them to sleep, hold them, lay in bed with them, whatever the case may be, for children who are relying on something external that they need someone else to help them with, they are going to wake more fully in between sleep cycles. So their transition from being awake to back to sleep is not as smooth as a child who has this ability to fall asleep independently. So if this is an area that you're struggling with, if your child is waking frequently at night, I would suggest that you take a step back and assess the situation. Is your child relying on something from you every time that they awaken? If that's the case, you may need to consider how you're going to help your child gain that ability to fall back asleep. This is a learned skill. So it is something that your child might need your guidance on, and there are several different ways to do that. So number 1, set realistic expectations for sleep based on your child's age. Number 2, keep in mind that it is normal to wake a couple times due to the nature of sleep cycles. Number 3, preserve all bouts of sleep. Preserving all bouts of sleep is important. So this means don't shortchange your child of sleep. If you can, try to preserve naps as best you can. Don't wake your child early from naps. Have your child in bed at an appropriate time. So don't try to keep your child up late frequently in order to do certain things with family and friends. Don't wake your child up super early in the morning if you're having to do that. Try to work around that if you can. Obviously, that doesn't work for everyone. However, if you're able to work around that, then it's best to do that for your child. And here's why. Sleep cycles, as we've talked about in the past lives, the ones where we talked about sleep cycles, non-REM and REM sleep, they each, REM and non-REM, both have their own functions. And depending on the time of night or the time of day, the type of sleep states that your child experiences and the amount of each that they experience during those sleep bouts is going to be different. So if you do not put your child down at an appropriate bedtime, for example, they are not going to get as much deep sleep as they would if they were going down at an appropriate time. If they are waking up super early or waking up frequently earlier in the morning, they're not getting a lot of that REM sleep. And if they're waking short from naps, depending on which nap it is, they're not getting a certain type of sleep. And keep in mind also that it is that REM sleep happens earlier in the morning, and this is that dream state. This is when we wake up, we can hear what's going on with the outside world. And so it's easier for your child to be woken up from something that's going on externally. Now, why is it important to have all these different types of sleep and durations of it? For REM sleep, the functions of REM sleep, especially for younger children, brain development and maturation. This is why a newborn has so much REM sleep. REM sleep allows the experience for multiple emotions, the ability to regulate those emotions, and to recognize and share emotions of others. So when your child is not getting an appropriate amount of REM sleep, it is very difficult for them to regulate their emotions, meaning that they are going to have more temper tantrums. They are going to be fussy. They are going to be clingy. They are going to fall down and not control their bodies. And it's just going to seem like they're not very happy. So having that REM sleep is really important in order to help regulate emotions. REM sleep also allows the ability to navigate socio-emotional signals. So this means comprehending facial expressions, body gestures, group behaviors, and this allows your child to make the best decision possible, an intelligent decision, with how they're going to act or respond to someone. REM sleep also fuels creativity. So REM sleep, super important. Deep sleep, also important because it allows to help with memory. It takes short-term memory and moves it to the area of the brain for long-term memory. So then that provides the ability for your child to learn more. So again, both states of sleep are super important, so don't shortchange your child's sleep. Have them down for naps and getting an appropriate amount of sleep for naps and bedtime, in bed at an appropriate hour, and sleeping in until an appropriate hour. Now, the only time that we're going to actually wake a child in order to is when we want to help keep them on schedule. Because again, the circadian rhythm helps with sleep. And so we want to help keep their circadian rhythm strong. And that is the time when we might actually wake them from a nap, wake them in the morning at the same time every day, hold off bedtime until a certain time, depending on the age of the child. So we've talked about one, set realistic expectations for sleep based on your child's age. 2, it is normal to wake a couple times during the night due to the nature of sleep cycles. And 3, preserve all sleep bouts because they are very important. They all have their specific reasons. Now, number 4 is to the fourth takeaway for the past few weeks of lives. The fourth takeaway for the past few weeks of lives is to use consistent external cues, consistent being the key, consistent external cues to help strengthen your child's circadian rhythm and thus to help improve your child's sleep, help your child sleep well. Those external cues can consist of light and darkness. This is one of the biggest ones that contribute to your child's circadian rhythm and how it affects sleep. So light and darkness. Light when it's time to be awake, darkness as dark as possible when it's time to be asleep. The other one is temperature. It's better to have cooler temperatures when we're trying to sleep. Another one is exercise. Exercise during the day, exercising at a regular time during the day. So for your child, that might mean playing outside, running around outside, doing something that's active with their body. Another one is consistent wake times for your child to help contribute to keeping that circadian rhythm strong. And then another one is regularly scheduled social interactions. So this is a big one to consider. So if you have a child who is waking early in the morning, remember we talked about REM sleep happens more in the morning, and so it is harder for a child to fall back asleep earlier in the morning versus earlier in the night. And so if your child starts to wake early in the morning and you start to go into the room when your child wakes, although your child might still be sleepy, if you consistently go into the room every time your child wakes early, what is going to happen? This starts to strengthen the circadian rhythm to say 5:30 is the time that I need to wake up. And so this social interaction from you might actually be strengthening a habit for the circadian rhythm that you might not want. So if your child is waking early, or if your child is taking short naps, let's figure out a way to help your child either sleep in a little bit later or become more comfortable with staying in the crib until a little bit later, and then lengthen naps, having a longer duration down for naps, because this will help strengthen the circadian rhythm to say, no, it's not time to wake up yet. I still have a little bit more time to go. The fifth takeaway from the last weeks of segments, the series of Understanding Sleep to Better Understand Your Child, I said this in the segment that was prior to this one. Be your child's timekeeper. Be your child's timekeeper. You want to help your child stay on a regular schedule based on your child's age. A newborn is not necessarily going to be on a schedule. They'll have more of a routine. But an older child, 6 months and older, be your child's timekeeper. For the younger children, you want to pay attention to their wake windows. So for newborns, up until about 4 months old, you want to pay attention to the wake window. Between 4 to 6 months, as their circadian rhythm is developing, you want to pay attention to wake window, but also start paying attention to what times are developing, what schedule is coming about. And around 6 months, you want to start having a set schedule for your child. This helps to strengthen your child's circadian rhythm once again. And also, the best time for your child to sleep is when sleep pressure is high and the circadian rhythm is dipping. And so the circadian rhythm for your child is going to be dipping to a more drowsy state at the same time, around the same time every day. So if you wake your child at a certain time, sleep pressure starts to rise as your child is awake, the circadian rhythm dips. You want that moment when your child's sleep pressure is high and the circadian rhythm is dipping. Now, for AM naps, this generally happens around 9 a.m. Every child's different, depends on your child's specific schedule, but in general, 9 a.m. is a great time for the AM nap, and then somewhere between 12 and 1 for the PM nap. And then bedtime, depending on your child's age, but somewhere between 6 and 8 p.m. Younger children, more towards the earlier side. Older children, 3, 4, towards the later side, if for some. A lot, it's more like 7, 7:30. But the main thing to take away here is the best time for sleep is when sleep pressure is high, which means your child's been awake long enough to be tired and the circadian rhythm is dipping. If your child's sleep pressure is high, but you're not putting your child down when the circadian rhythm is dipping, instead, if the sleep pressure will continue to rise and you miss that window of when the drowsy state is around, your child's going to start becoming more alert because of the circadian rhythm. So I showed a graph of this in my last 2 lives. I've showed a couple graphs, and the one in the very last one last week shows the sleep drive and circadian rhythm and how together, when you have the right time of day, your child will sleep much better than if you miss that certain time. So I hope that you guys found this whole series beneficial. The goal was to help you understand sleep so that you know what to do in order to help your child build a strong sleep foundation. And if you're struggling, you know where it might be that you're struggling and where can you improve. So I'll recap these again. The main takeaways from the past few weeks, the main ones that I'm hoping that you take away is 1, set realistic expectations for yourself based on your child's age when it comes to their sleep. 2, keep in mind that it is normal to wake a couple times throughout the night for everyone due to the nature of sleep cycles. 3, preserving all bouts of sleep is important. 4, Use consistent external cues to help strengthen your child's circadian rhythm and hence their ability to sleep well. And 5, be your child's timekeeper. Now, do I have any questions from anyone? Any questions? All right. Well, that was a wrap up of understanding sleep to better understand your child. Next week am just going to have this live available for Q&A. So I'm gonna come on at 1 p.m. I will stick around for 20 minutes for anybody to come in and ask me questions, and I will answer those questions for you. So I hope to see you all next week. And again, in order to see how my services work in case you are struggling with your child's sleep or you want to be proactive so that you can strengthen that sleep foundation, that information can be found at afterthestorksleep.com/what is entailed. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. I will see you next week.